Hi, everybody. So it is September 14th, 2022. Time for another midweek chat. To quote the scriptures, what did you come out to see? A reed swaying in the wind? I thought this would be a nice spot because see the reed swaying in the wind behind me? It's a little bit of a windy day. I hope it's blocked enough so you can hear okay, but beautiful sound of the wind blowing through the trees. And do you know where that is in the scriptures? What did you come out to see? A reed swaying in the wind? I just thought of that now. It's Jesus says that, right? And it's in relation to John the Baptist. And if I'm all wrong about this, let me know. Sometimes it's nice when the priest is wrong and people can feel smarter. But I think Jesus says it in relation to John the Baptist. He says something like, well, what'd you come out to see? You know, a reed swaying in the wind, some kind of a weak thing? No, you come out to see a prophet. And among people born of women, there's none greater than John the Baptist. You know, so I don't know any real deeper meaning about that. But anyway, isn't it beautiful to see those reeds swaying in the wind there? Those are cattails. I don't know if you can see any of the cattail part of those or not. And then, of course, this is, or maybe not, of course, because there's a lot of lakes in Wisconsin. This is Half Moon Lake in Eau Claire here. It's a little bit of a tight schedule today, so I didn't feel like I should bike very far away. Oh, there's a grasshopper. Yeah, Half Moon Lake is like a crescent, and so this is like this part of the crescent, right? So the southwest corner. To get here, I took a shortcut that we took on the Parish bike ride last week. Take is it called Park Ridge? Is it called Park Ridge Drive? It's that sort of that connects Menominee and Claremont up to the cemetery area. Anyway, Lawrence, a parishioner, he's taking me on these walks, and he grew up in this neighborhood. He showed me this little shortcut through the woods. It's a kind of a nice cross-country extra addition to some of our parish bike rides. Lawrence, I think he said it was this part of the lake here that it was used to harvest ice. For what? For ice boxes, like before my day. But yeah, so instead of refrigerators, they had ice boxes, and apparently this was good place to cut out ice in the winter. I'm not sure they could get much ice in the winter now. It's warmer, but yeah, those were nice walks with Lawrence. I hope to get out with him again. He has a lot of good local history. So parishioners, I thought I had something else to say about that, but that's all right. It's just another nice day. It's kind of a hazy sunshine, so it's not like a super blue sky, but it's beautiful out. I just emailed Kelly and Beth. Maybe we can get a religious ed bike ride in before the season starts. So some parish news though. This is like a way in advance. I think I mentioned already Italian dinner coming up, but you might notice you'll get a newsletter this week, and it's an expensive ticket, partly because it's a fundraiser and partly because it's quality stuff. She's making homemade tiramisu. She's making homemade sausage. She's thinking of putting shrimp on skewers. When I say she, I mean Beth. And we hope to get we'll have a max of 48 people. Father Karate, I've already saved a spot for him. He likes these Italian dinners, and he's got great taste. So if Father Karate likes it, it's primo stuff. So that'll be November 19th. We are not even going to sell tickets until probably the last weekend in October, but I just want you to know that's coming up. We're thinking of having another name tag Sunday. I'm sort of an introverted person, so I'm not, if I were you, I might not say, oh, great, we're having a name tag Sunday. But a lot of people like it, and I do think it's good that we do it every once in a while. So it's just when you show up for Mass, you'd be invited to write your name on your name tag. And so like at the beginning of Mass, for example, when I say if you haven't greeted each other yet, you can turn to one another now and say hello. You'll not just be saying hi, you'll be saying, hi, Bob. Chances are it'll be Bob if you're sitting by a man over 50. And, or, hello, Carmelita, something like that. So you just get to maybe know the names of the people around you. It'd be awesome. I've heard good things, and it always depends. I just think we always gotta try to continue to try to be a warm place. I was talking to Christine about people that have joined the parish who've moved into town recently, and one of the key reasons they say is it just feels like a warm place. There's a personal warmth when I come to St. James for Mass, and so I'm just very proud of that. It's because of you guys. Anybody who comes, it's sort of one of those intangible things. They say the most important, not theologically, but as far as people's experience of being in a church, they say the most important time during Mass. Guess when? It's the 5 minutes before Mass. If people have a sense like, oh, okay, I can be here, I can be accepted here, I can belong here. This feels like a place of warmth. That's good, but that's something we always got to work on. I think it's just nothing to just kind of lean back and say, oh, we're a warm church or something like that. So anyway, thanks for everybody who's helped to make it a warm place where people feel welcome, because that's so important. Speaking of that, hospitality. We've kind of had like a little roller coaster with, so of course during COVID, we stopped having the coffee and donuts or coffee and treats after Mass, and then we started up again. Not so long ago, but getting to be a while ago. And, well, the trend lately, with some exceptions, the trend lately has been lots of great spread of treats. So like Dave and Patty, for example, really put out some great stuff. They had sloppy joes and chips and veggies. She always has some good veg. Anyway, and it's not a competition. If you ever volunteer for hospitality, it's fine just to have coffee and juice and crackers or something, But sometimes people really kind of say, well, let's do something extra special. Gordy's a good one for that. I shouldn't start naming names, but those three really do stand out. And so though Sharon makes that lemon syrup bread pudding once in a while, it's good stuff. And here's a bicyclist. Anyway, but not many people are coming, so they have this big spread, and then there's maybe like 9 people that are there, And it's one of those things, if everybody from Mass came, there'd be too many, there wouldn't be enough room. But we're not getting, you kind of want that happy medium where it's pleasantly full, not packed, but anyway, you're welcome to come to hospitality after all Masses. Occasionally we'll not have a volunteer and we'll make the announcement. I always like that. I get a kick out of the announcement. There will be no hospitality today. That's what it usually says in the announcement. What that means is not that we won't be kind to one another and hospitable, but that there won't be any food served after Mass. So, and you might be, again, like me. I said I'm not crazy about personally name taste, but I think it's a good thing. Well, wouldn't be crazy about going to hospitality. Is one of the things I kind of forced myself to do when I was younger. A young man, like in Seattle in my parish there. It's one of those things that can be hard for a shyer person or an introverted person. And yet, I always found it worthwhile, even if it was hard. If it was hard and nothing really happened and nobody talked to me, I'd go home. I was like, well, at least I tried. I did something courageous. But sometimes you just meet someone that's kind of interesting. I just think God is revealed to us through one another, primarily, And so, like, for example, probably my best example is when I was on retreats at St. John's University, annual retreat. Before they had the guest house, they would let clergy stay in the monastery. So I'd have a room with, right next door would be a monk, I think in the end they weren't crazy about that. That's why they built a guest house. But I hope I was always a gracious guest. But you were invited then to eat with the monks, And so I'd have lunch with them, and they were out, where are you from? I said, I'm a priest from the Diocese of La Crosse. Oh, diocese. You just kind of get talking, and, honestly, it's easier for me just to go sit in a corner and eat alone and pray and think about stuff. There's no effort there, and I enjoy it. And it was always a little more effort and stressful to, like, where am I going to sit? Which monk should I sit by? And, more stressful, but more of a payoff. I was always glad. So now they built a guest house, and they don't let I think if I requested, they let me in, but that seems wrong. So I stay at the guest house, and I eat alone, and I love it. It's fun. But it's not as rich of a time. When I'm journal at the end of the day, I can't say, I spoke with Brother Dietrich today, or I spoke with Father Timothy today, and he said this, because there's none of that happened. So similarly, I think with hospitality, if that makes any sense. to you. What else we got going on in the parish? Hey, we had a pastoral council meeting last night, which was good. We got a great 2 months in a row of perfect attendance on a beautiful, beautiful evenings. Again, we met at the Last Supper sculpture, which was nice. We're going to start a subcommittee again to talk about accessibility issues in the parish, physical accessibility issues. Other things, I can't remember now exactly what we talked about. I wrote about it a little in the bulletin. The ways to promote appreciation of the Eucharist over the next couple of years. The Worldwide Church is trying to have a Eucharistic revival. So we'll get some information out to the parish about that. The council will be talking about that in the months ahead. Boy, there was a reason I brought it up, though. Boy, my mind is just, I guess the weather's too nice. I'm just not focused. Was it hospitality? I can't think. If I knew how to work this, I'd pause my camera and then think and then start it again. But we got to keep going forward. Weekly emails. So the, I don't know, 3 or 4 of the council members said, I don't get a weekly email from the parish. So Kelly Boudry, our DRE, she writes these great weekly emails where she grabs sources from many different sources. I think there's a link to this chat. Maybe this is why you're watching the chat, because you did get that email and you clicked the link. That goes out every Friday morning. There's links to interesting articles, recipes, just timely things. And people weren't getting it, and they're like, for a while it was just like going to one email per household, so the husband might get it or the wife might get it and the spouse didn't get it. But we think we rectified that. So anyway, Christine did her bird dogging on that, and she looked up the 3 names of the people on the council that for sure said they weren't getting these weekly emails, and they're getting sent, so they must be going to spam. So if you'd like these emails, and I think you would benefit, you can always open it and say, well, there's nothing that interesting in it for me this week, but there's always something in it that I like. Check your spam file. It always goes out every Friday morning. She's just been very consistent and good about that. And if you check your spam file and it's still not there and you'd like to get the email, let us know. We'll get you, make sure you're on the list, okay? All right. Okay. What is that? Okay, so we have a couple of feast days. Today is this feast day. All right. So this is, today is September 14th, is the feast of the Exaltation of the Most Holy Cross. And so we honor the cross today. This is a cross I picked up actually at St. John's when I was on retreat, probably 25 years ago, something like that. I think it came from South America, Central America. It's very simple. It's just, it's 2 branches of a tree made into a cross. It's just a little nail attaching those 2 pieces of wood, and then some sort of terracotta pottery. And I liked it. This has been in my bedroom where I sleep for 25 years. It's my bedroom cross, and I like it. I like one where clearly Jesus is giving his all, stretched out, suffering, hurting. I don't like the ones where he's like bloody and gory and all cut up and all that, because that can be a little distracting. Man, I see the passion in something like this. I don't need to be reminded of all the whip marks and everything. I get that. I think it mostly, I don't know, I can just relate to something like this real easily and quickly. And plus I know it comes from the third world where probably people are more intimately aware of suffering than I am. So Exaltation Cross, and we had our school mass today, and I asked the kids, I said, well, so how does it make you feel to look at the cross? What do you think when you feel at the cross? And they didn't say too much, but this one, a new student, again a 3rd grader, our 3rd graders are just really doing well with these answers, and they said, bikers just went by. Killian, a new student, he said, I feel loved. And in the gospel we just read was, God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that the world, to condemn the world, but the world might be saved through him. And I said, you know what? That's great when you can look at the cross and feel loved, you know? And it might not be everybody's experience, but you said that, and I think that makes Jesus super happy, because I think that's why, you know, he wanted to be on that cross. He wanted to show us his love. He wanted to show us that in the face of resistance, he would continue to love, that there's nothing that human beings could do to him that would cause him to stop loving them. You know, that's, to me, that's the saving value of the cross. A lot of people look at the cross in slightly different ways, but to be able to see love on the cross, so important. So that was great. I told him at the end of Mass too, I forgot, I said, when do you think would be a great, I said, we're talking about praying in front of the cross. I said, you can pray in front of the cross. There's different ways to pray. You can pray by saying a rosary. You can pray by saying prayers, the Our Father, and share your feelings with God, words, prayers, read the Bible. I said, another way to pray is just to gaze at the cross, just to kind of sit in front of a crucifix and behold it. And you don't have to say anything. You can feel different things, or you could think different things, but because that's what the gospel is today. When the Son of Man is lifted up, he'll draw all people to himself. And the first reading was with the grumblers in the desert with Moses were grumbling. So I don't know if I guess God, I don't know. It's again that God punishing. We talked about that last Sunday. Sent these serpents to go bite the people and make them sick because they were grumbling too much. And then the way to heal them was for Moses was instructed, make a statue, like a sculpture of a serpent, one of these serpents in bronze, and hold it up. Whoever looks at that serpent will be healed, So there's something, you look up at this and you're healed. And I thought, well, that's kind of like with the cross. You can look up at it, you can feel healed. Like your Christ is with you in your need. And I think that's it can be any time, but I think that's really the best time for me, when I would want to turn to the cross, or when I get the most out of gazing upon the cross, is when I'm hurting. And I see that Jesus is hurting as well, and that his story didn't end there, and that he cares about my pain because he knows all about it. He knows how unpleasant it is and how hard it is, but that he kept faith, and I can keep faith, to feel his companionship with me. He who died but was also risen. That beautiful line that I like so much from John Sabrino, that without the resurrection, the cross would have no power, but without the cross, that power would not be love. So to see love in the cross. Good stuff. All right, got another show and tell thing here. This is tomorrow's feast. Oh, we got some people fishing down there. Good thing I said it. I don't know if I've shown you that. I think I showed you a different picture of this. This is pretty big. It barely fit in my backpack down here today. So this is Our Lady of Sorrows. 7 swords in her heart. Remember, she and Joseph and the baby Jesus visit the temple, and Simeon says, one of his prophecies is that a sword shall pierce your heart. You'll know a lot of suffering in your life, Mary, because of who your son is. So Our Lady of Sorrows. There's 7 sorrows. I can't rattle them off right now. One is like losing a child in the temple. I think 4 or 5 of them have to do with Good Friday, watching her son certainly die on the cross, be nailed to the cross, carry the cross, all those things. I think the flight to Egypt is one of them. After Jesus was born. So Our Lady of Sorrows, I always associate that with my old friend who died 6 years ago, Father Bob Farragon. He preached Our Lady of Sorrows when I was in the seminary. He was just so real, just talking about sadness as part of our life. So I remember Bob, when we hit this day. I remember hearing once, too, sorrow is something that I think, I heard someone try to distinguish sadness from sorrow in a way that was very appealing to me. Sadness would be like, I'm sad. I said goodbye to someone I love. I won't see him for another 6 months. I'm sad. I just got my test back and it's got a C-. I'm sad. Sorrow, I don't remember how it was defined. It was almost like an openness to all the suffering in the world, and feeling bad for that. Kind of like being sad that there's sadness, being sad that there's suffering. So I have a dear friend who's just very innocent, cognitively disabled, and I heard this week that she's having a lot of seizures, and life was hard. And this week she's having some MRI tests and meeting with the doctors, kind of an annual thing for her condition. And that may be almost more personal sadness, but there's also a sorrow in that someone, just to see this innocence, just this pure innocence that has so many struggles, so many challenges in life, and is so brave and wonderful and beautiful. But the sorrow of why do such wonderful innocent people have to suffer so much? Any of the news about the war in Ukraine and how people were treated there, and the invasion, and what's happening now, and the things that we do to each other, just to hold that sorrow in our hearts. I think that can be a beautiful prayer too, So prayers aren't always just saying your prayers, right? It can be gazing at the cross. It can be contemplating, just holding the suffering in the world in your heart. And that's what, doesn't that seem like that's what Mary's doing here? And so, again, another good image when you're hurting. Someone knows what that's like. Someone who has a lot of faith. Someone who proclaims the greatness of God. But someone who also knows that life is hard. Right? So I wanted to mention those. Today is the Exaltation of the Holy Cross. Tomorrow's the Feast of Our Lady of Sorrows. I'm at 22 minutes, so I just maybe finished with the story of the Exaltation of the Holy Cross. Some people think it's just, I always thought it was just like, we're going to honor the cross on a given day. We'll do that on September 14th. It used to be called the Triumph of the Cross, but we went back to the more ancient name, Exaltation of the Holy Cross. So what that's all about, and this is some legend, some fact, I'm sure, but the story is, Christianity after the death and resurrection of Jesus was, pretty much illegal in the Roman Empire. Christians were often persecuted in different waves. Sometimes they were more tolerated, sometimes they were not. But it wasn't the law of the land. It was illegal to be Christian for a lot of places. And so, like where his tomb was, for example, there was not a monument put there or a church built there because it was not sanctioned by the government. So it just had to be kind of a private tradition where people say, well, we'll go here to visit where Christ was crucified, where Christ rose from the dead. And now in Jerusalem, and there's some pretty good archaeological evidence that place where that was frequented, even before a church was built there, was pretty well attested by archaeology, Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. But anyway, so then 325, Emperor Constantine says, I want to be Christian. The sign of the cross helped him win this big battle, and in gratitude he became Christian himself, and actually not till his deathbed, but basically he could be Christian and good. You didn't have to fear any state sanctions or you didn't have to hide. And then his mother embraced it totally, St. Helen, and she wanted to go to the Holy Land and find all these places where Jesus did miracles, where he rose from the dead, where he died. And so they asked around. They said, well, where did this happen? Where have Christians gone to commemorate the death and resurrection of Jesus? And they said, well, around here somewhere, And then she went down, and I guess there were some caves, and a lot of it got built up over, and different civil buildings or houses were built up. And so they did some exploring with some strong people who could dig and stuff like that. And they came across a cave, and the cave had 3 crosses in it. And 3 crosses, which is the one of Jesus, right? You have the good thief, the selfish thief, and Jesus' cross, probably the 3. And so she took a person who had like a skin disease or paralysis or some physical ailment, and said, okay, touch the cross on the right. And he did, and nothing changed. No, touch the next one, nothing changed. Then when he touched the 3rd cross, it was healed. And so that was like proof that that's the real cross. That's the authentic cross. And so when that cross was then reclaimed and brought out and lifted up for the people to see, that's the exaltation of the most holy cross. That's what we're celebrating, kind of the finding of the cross and the exalting of the cross, raising it up. So a little background story, kind of interesting, isn't it? So it's more, a little bit more in the Orthodox, Greek Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox traditions. That's a bigger deal, but we have that feast as well, the exaltation of the Holy Cross. So that's today. God bless you, everybody. Hope you're having a great fall. Pretty soon it's just going to triple in beauty around here because of the fall colors to come, right? So I'll get out of the way, let you behold this for a little bit. You can watch the reeds swaying in the wind. Within our darkest night, you kindle a fire that never dies away, that never dies away. Within our darkest night, you kindle a fire that never dies away, never dies away. Within our darkest night, you kindle a fire that never dies away, that never dies away. Within our darkest night, you kindle a fire that never dies away, never dies away.